posting lifting videos consistently on Instagram and YouTube for the last 5 years or so. For the last year and a half, I've been lifting out of my garage pretty much exclusively. And there's one piece of equipment that's always gotten a ton of questions. And now that I've owned that piece of equipment for a little over a year, I figured it'd be a good time to make a video and talk about it. What I like, what I don't like, what works well, what doesn't work well, and whether or not I thought it was worth the money. And that piece of equipment is the Strongarm Sport Combo Bench Squat Rack. When I ordered this in 2019, it was about $1,000. That's half or a third of what you would pay for the next big name combo rack. And you know you get what you pay for, so for $1,000 or half of like a Texas Strength Systems or a third of an Alico, I was really not sure what kind of quality it would be. Now that I've owned it for over a year, maybe I can answer some of those questions for anybody else who's considering it. I think we're going to start top to bottom, back to front, and we will start with the things that I don't like, because that's what everybody cares about. First of all, these rollers here, they're like PVC, and they're supposed to be on there to protect the knurling on your bar. And as you can see, if you drop a bar with anything more than 30 or 40 pounds on it, it tears this up. And if we come over here, it fills the knurling with these scraped off bits of PVC. It's gross. It's a real pain to get out. I guess it does technically prevent the knurling from getting chipped, but man, it makes a mess. See if we can get that you can see this is all torn up. And if I was somebody that cared about this kind of thing, I would replace these with something else, not this PVC. The next thing that I don't like about it is the bench arms. It's this piece here that drops down and holds the bar while you're benching. These are welded on the front here, and I guess they probably are technically strong enough, but they feel flimsy. When you grab the bar to get set up or lift off, these flex a lot. I mean, there's probably an inch of wiggle there, and it's a really unsettling feeling when you've got 400 pounds over your head and you're trying to lift it off and it's wiggling back and forth. As you're under the bar and you're getting ready to lift it off, and this is with no weight, so there's not a lot of force, but you can see how much that wiggles even with no weight on the bar. That's probably it for things that I really, really don't like. There's a few other reviews for this particular combo rack on YouTube and Instagram where people consistently complain about how hard it is to put the bench on and off of the rack because it bolts into the back. There, it actually lifts up and over that beam, and then you hand screw those bolts through the back of the bench and into the beam. Now, my wife is all of 130 pounds and she can do it 3 times a week, so if she can do it, you can probably do it. Now for the things that I do like, not to spoil it, but there are a lot more things that I do like than things that I don't like. First of all, it's real easy to work it like a real combo bench. So you can pick that up and down, 400, 500, 600 pounds. The levers are long enough and it works well. The posts actually sit in plastic sleeves, and I was a little bit worried about those getting beat up, falling apart, degrading over time, but so far they've held up well. The pins are strong. The posts themselves actually do feel really well planted in there. It's just the bench arms that I'm not a super fan of. Plate storage on the back is convenient, and when you've got it loaded down, the bench feels super, super stable. Somebody else had complained about these little bumper things here, little rubber inserts that go on the end of the plate posts, getting beat up. And yeah, they get beat up. Like, you're dropping 45-pound plates on them. Every time you lift this, and you drop it, it just smacks it. And this is just a little piece of plastic that goes on the end of it to keep you from stabbing yourself in the leg. Yeah, it's beat up. No, it doesn't bother me. The next thing I'm a really big fan of are the bench arms. So I've worked on a bunch of benches, and I've never been a huge fan of the cantilever arms, because whenever you drop it, they flex or they feel like the whole thing's gonna tip over and geeking you. These don't. You can look here. You see the divots in the rubber. So these arms have caught some pretty substantial misses on bench, and it's never felt sketchy. It's actually got a 2-part raise and lower system, so you've got pins on the side and a set screw on the front, and it works really, really well. It also has these band pegs here on the side that I don't really use. I don't work with bands a lot, especially not on bench. But if you're into that kind of thing, it has them, and they do work well from the few times that I've used them. The bench pad itself is competition size, so it's much shorter than something you would find in a commercial gym. And it's squared off, and it feels just like benching on a Texas Strength Systems combo bench. The top is very slick. I haven't been able to hurt the fabric except for one little spot right there, and that was my fault. I dropped these adjustable dumbbells on it, and it put a teeny tiny little hole in it. Not a big deal. Walking at your squats, it feels like you're walking out at a competition, on the platform. When you're benching, it feels just like a real competition bench. And I think that's probably the biggest bang for the buck. You want to practice how you play, and this feels like you're at a meet. Like it feels like a real combo bench because it is a real combo bench at half the price. So I like the bench a lot. I like the squat rack part of it a lot. It looks and feels like a real combo rack that you would use at a competition, and even if it's not super high quality, even if it's not a $3,000 combo rack, it feels like it could be, right? And I think that just building up the confidence and the practice of benching on something that's shorter and wider and stiffer and slicker, and walking out of a combo rack instead of a squat rack is beneficial. Like, I think it definitely helps you practice how you play. So for $1,000, I would definitely buy this over.